SGA Special Elections Committee is proud hold on, good evening. Good evening, Vice State Guardian and WWSU are proud to partner with the Special Elections Committee to facilitate discussions on issues currently facing the student body among potential members of the Student Government Association. We have one presidential and vice presidential candidate running and four senators, actually. The first part of tonight's event will focus on the student body's presidential and vice presidential candidates. We will then welcome senators running for positions up to the stage during the event's second half for a panel discussion. This year's moderation panel is composed of the editorial staff of White State Guardian. My name is Jamie Naylor, and I'm the editor-in-chief of The Guardian. And managing editor Alexis Lewis and I will be moderating the first part of tonight's event. Questions asked during today's event have been predetermined by the moderation panel and chair of the Special Election Committee, Brian Diaz. The questions have not been shared with the candidates. During tonight's event, moderators will be accepting questions from the live stream chat and social media via SGA or the Guardian's Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook accounts. We are also live on WWSU 106.9 FM, Fairborn, Dayton, Dayton's My Choice. We have also passed out note cards to our live audience. Audience members, you may write any questions on these note cards and give them to any Guardian members in the room who are behind me on my left. We will address these questions in the last part of tonight's event. I'll also remind audience members that this is not a funeral. You do not have to be silent, though we ask you to lower your phone volume so we don't get like any awkward loud phone calls in the middle of this. Before moving to questions, the president and vice president candidates will each have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. Emily, if you could go ahead and start the clock. Candidates, please include your major and academic year in your introduction. Ms. Bittner, your 30 seconds begin right now.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Bittner. I am a current sophomore and will be a junior next fall. I am a political science major with a minor in legal studies as well as women, gender, and sexuality studies. I'm involved in several communities on campus as well as such as Greek life. I'm a president of FMLA and yeah.
Thank you. Your time is now up. We will move on to Mrs. Kanawa. You may begin when you are ready.
Hey, I'm Alicia Knauer. I am first year at the Clinical Psychology Doctoral Program, the School of Professional Psychology. I'm involved in several communities on campus, the Graduate and Student Advisory Board and SGA currently, as well as the SOPP SGA.
Thank you.
community on campus that is not very well represented at this time.
Thank you. All right, Director Knauer, this is a two-part question, and you'll have a minute for each question. The Vice President is also head of the Senate, so how do you perceive the role of the Senate?
So I perceive the role of the Senate as being a very important part of encompassing like representatives for student bodies. So each member of the Senate, they represent different like the COLA, chess, like different degrees that I may not be privy to myself or other members may not. So they're there to get all that information from what different people from different majors may be going through and figuring out like critiques and what can be worked on to make their experience better on campus.
And then the second part of the question is, how do you intend to monitor the Senate's performance of their roles and lead the body?
So with SGA, we do have built-in weekly meetings and individual one-on-one meetings that the Vice President has to do with the Senate, which I do fully plan on doing, and I want to be very available for every member of the Senate. So if they ever have any questions, they can come to me. And with that, I do want more interdisciplinary collaboration, more collaboration within SGA itself, because right now sometimes we don't know about the projects that we are doing. So I want to be able to act as a liaison and be able to, I'm sorry, I thought it was outside, but like help spread the word of what other people are up to and give them the connections that they make with each other.
All right, then,
Ms. Bittner, please explain why transparency is vital in SGA. In other words, why is it important that your meetings are open to the student body and the public?
So coming from a law perspective, we do have the sunshine law, so it is required by law that we are transparent, but it's also very important to the student body that we are transparent in what we are doing. If the student body is not liking something that we are doing, they should be able to know about it and be able to address it with us as well. I also think that, yeah.
Director Knauer, you are currently SGA's Academic Affairs Director. How will your experience in this position impact your role as Vice President?
I think it really well prepares me because I'm able to see how the inner workings of SGA work. I'm able to see what the duties that other people have are, and therefore if there's new people coming in, I'll be able to help them give them training that they need. We've had some issues with training within SGA, and that's one of the things that we hope to tackle so that way people do feel well prepared to be a student representative and do their job. So we know what flaws are there, and we definitely plan on working those immediately.
Okay, so we will now proceed to the second set of questions. You will have 45 seconds to answer each question. The time will start when I have finished reading the question. You do not have to use the entire 45 seconds. Ms. Bittner, you are up first. What is the biggest issue facing the student body at Wright State, and how do you plan to combat this issue?
I think the biggest issue on campus is student involvement as well as representation for the various communities. Student involvement, I would really like to work directly with SIL on how we can create better opportunities for involvement, as well as marketing better to students that are commuters, for example, who don't always know what is going on campus. They come to their classes and then leave. I think opportunities like that would encourage students to stay on campus as well.
Then the question again for Director Knauer, what do you feel is the biggest issue facing the student body at Wright State, and how do you plan to combat this issue?
Collaboration with other students and also, again, involvement is a huge issue, and this is something that students have voiced concerns and they want more of. So it's something that we will hope to grow. Some of the things that we want to do is we want to increase the amount of social media presence that Wright State has, where like not only SGA but other organizations, so that way people do know what is going on, because sometimes they don't know like, the special events and the meetings. It's not on Engaged, or it might not be on the Wings page. And even simple stuff like that can make a huge impact on people who are commuters who don't see these flyers, knowing what is happening.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Ms. Bittner, only 4 of 8 senator positions have been petitioned for. In addition to the other vacancies within SGA, how would you intend to fill the appointed positions on the executive board, cabinet, and senate?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to get started as soon as I am able to, so those positions are filled before the fall starts. That was a problem we had last year. We were having a lot of positions being filled within the school year, which created a lot of transition issues and confusion. I would also reach out to various offices like student conduct that may have some great people that they would be that they think would be good on student government, as well as the making sure we have representation. I work with the centers, culture and identity centers, to make sure that there's more representation within SG as well.
Then Director Knauer, how would you intend to fill the vacancies in the Senate?
So it's similar to what Bittner just said. We are going to put more advertisements out there. We're going to reach out to deans of colleges so they can send emails out to students, because the reason there's a lot of vacancies is a lot of people don't know that this is an opportunity given to them, especially if they're incoming into like in a new school year as a first year. So putting out more advertisements, and also we've had people quit because they don't know what their job is supposed to be doing. So having better transition and better training so they know what they need to do is really important for that retention.
Okay, and then, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll say that. So we have, quite a few questions from the audience. I will ask them before we move on here. Audience members, keep those questions rolling in, and then if there's anything from the live stream, the broadcast, or social media, we will address those as well. So note to my team, keep those running. Okay, so this was, yeah, okay. So those are for all candidates. We'll ask now to the president, vice presidential, and then we'll ask them again at the end of the session. I can help you with some of those. Okay. So this first question is for Ms. Bittner. This person says, your current role in SGA entails updating and upholding the SGA Constitution. If you have not updated the Constitution in your current role, how do you plan to do so as president instead? And the second half of this question is, how can students trust that you will fulfill your role as president if you have not fulfilled your role of updating the Constitution this year, end quote.
Yes, so I would make sure to work with my policy administrator to make sure those changes are made. And to the regards of that I have not fulfilled my position as policy administrator, I feel that my position has kind of been taken from me, and someone else has tried to make changes to the Constitution that I was not privy to. So I was not in those conversations, so I do feel that I did not have the opportunity to fulfill my position, and that's why I want to continue on student government so I can try to make those changes as best as possible.
Okay. I also think this one is for Ms. Bittner. It just says, do you plan to restart the House of Representatives? Question mark. If so, why and how?
No, I don't think there's really a need to start the House of Representatives with the current constitution we have. We have each college represented in the Senate, and then we have a new mental health position in the cabinet, and the cabinet has various duties that I think can fulfill the House of Representatives as well.
So, a couple of audience members submitted a series of questions that they wanted to ask all candidates. So we'll ask this of both of you now, and then after the Senate panel, we'll ask these again to the Senate candidates. So I will ask a question, and then Ms. Bittner, you'll have 30 seconds to respond. And then we'll ask the question again if you need it repeated, Ms. Knauer, and then we'll also set your timer to 30 seconds. Does that sound right? Okay. So the first question from the audience that we have is, what steps will you take to promote transparency and accountability within student government? And Ms. Bittner, we'll start with you on that one.
The first thing we've really discussed is we would like somewhere on the Wings homepage place where students can take their concerns to student government, and that we would be able to gain easy access to those and address them immediately. We'd also work with senators weekly. I would like to have meetings with each senator of each college to address the concerns of all the students from each colleges as well.
Thank you. Your time is up. And the same question to you, Mrs. Kanawa. What steps will you take to promote transparency and accountability within student government?
So same to what Ms. Bittner has already stated, but we also want to put more advertisements out there. Like we want to, again, utilize social media in this new age and allow people to be able to DM us and then address those during meetings and all those other avenues that can happen through Facebook and Engage and such. So that way people actually know that they can reach out through these more informal avenues instead of being confused of like, well, how can I reach out to them? Also for accountability, we do plan on putting out surveys.
Thank you. Your time is up. We will move to the second question on this note card, and that is, what experience or skills do you bring to the table that make you uniquely qualified for this position in student government? Ms. Bittner, I'll start with you.
So I'm a current major in political science. My goal is to go into law, so this is something that is very important to me. I am the Vice President of Judicial Affairs on CPH. I'm currently the Policy Administrator for Student Government. I'm the President of FMLA, and I've been the Vice President of Membership Integrity in my own sorority.
And then Ms. Kanawa, again, the question is, what experience or skills do you bring to the table that make you uniquely qualified for this position in student government? Your 5 seconds is on the clock.
So the organizations that I'm involved in earlier also made me prepared. I have some connections with faculty already, and I already have those established ideas in mind, but I also went to a different undergrad. I went to Appalachian State University and I was involved there. And I feel like with that, I can bring a fresh new perspective, use what happened, what worked well there, and see if it can work well here too.
Okay, your time is up. And the last question on this note card is, how would you address the concerns related to campus safety and security, and how do you plan to work with administration and law enforcement to ensure a safe and welcoming campus environment? Ms. Bittner, we'll start with you.
I would reach out directly to campus police. I have a pretty good relationship with them already, and I would also work with the administration to see what safety programs we can bring to campus. Things like self-defense for women, things of how to handle an active campus shooting. That's a problem we have in our country that not a lot of students would really know how to deal with. So I think those kind of trainings would be really important to be brought here.
Thank you. Your time is up, and we'll go to the other note card.
So Ms. Bittner, we'll start with you. How are you going to improve campus life for current and future students?
For current and future students, I would create better ways for students to get in contact with student government and the administration. I would be out in the student body gauging questions, what they have, and I would work with all the various organizations on how we can collaborate, create more information about how the various resources we have on campus are available to everyone.
Thank you. And then Director Knauer, how are you going to improve campus life for current and future students?
So I know that there are a lot of critiques that students do have on campus, and just getting more avenues for them to give that, and then being able to facilitate that, like the conversation with faculty and staff on campus is going to be a really main thing that I will focus on.
Thank you. And then Ms. Bittner, what are you going to do to improve diversity and inclusion on campus?
So I am in the Culture and Identity Center a lot. I would work directly with the directors of each center, and then also work with UCID to see how they feel would be the best ways to represent them on campus. I would want their opinions and not just what I feel is best for them. Their opinions are what matters the most.
Thank you. And then Director Knauer, what are you going to do to improve diversity and inclusion on campus?
I agree with everything that Bittner has said, and also it's just good to have that open conversation at any given time and make sure that, you know, we have our own positions of power, like as white women, and we're well off, and we just want to make sure that all voices are being heard from all different intersectionalities, and being able to give them a platform so they can have their voice too.
Thank you. And then Ms. Bittner, what are you going to do to help students dealing with mental health?
I would make sure all resources are available to them. I personally have had to use the mental health resources on campus. The hotline, the crisis hotline is not what it should be, so I would work with the administration to correct that and make sure it's the best it can be. And make sure that professors, anyone that works in the campus is trained to work in crisis intervention.
Thank you. And then Director Knauer, what are you going to do to help students dealing with mental health?
I want to have more mental health awareness campaigns on campus, and I want people to get like psychoeducation on how to look out for roommates if they are going through a tough time, how to maybe talk about it to them, warning signs to look out for. Have more mental health weeks because we do not have enough, and having nice activities around that so people feel like they can go.
Thank you. Ms. Bittner, how do you plan on improving campus spirit and involvement?
So that's a hard one, actually. We aren't a super energetic campus so I would work with the various student organizations, see how we can collaborate to create more pride in our campus. I think the colleges really need to work together on interdisciplinary education. Am I up?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Director Knauer, how do you plan on improving campus spirit and involvement?
I always think just having more activities that are fun for people to join is going to help build that school spirit, and being able to have more rally events and fun stuff like the Fall Fest, but just more throughout the year.
We have 3 questions left on this notepad.
Yeah. Okay, so Ms. Bittner, what inspired you to run for student government?
Being on student government this year has really been quite an experience. I see that there are many issues within student government itself that needs fixed, as well as within the student body. We're not representing the student body at the moment, we're representing the administration, and that needs to change.
Thank you. Director Knauer, what inspired you to run for student government?
Honestly, I really enjoy interdisciplinary collaboration, and I enjoy getting to know the different students on campus, and I like being part of it and involved.
Thank you. Ms. Bittner, how do you plan to keep students informed and engaged?
Social media would be a huge thing, marketing, and actually going out to the student body, talking with them, see what their problems are, what their concerns, what they would like to see.
Director Knauer, how do you plan to keep students informed and engaged?
Absolutely, all the stuff that we've said before about definitely bumping up social media because it's not very informative right now, but also, again, having more in-person events on campus so people can get to know each other in a very organic way.
And then, Ms. Bittner, what is your vision for the future of the school, and how do you plan to work with other members of SGA to achieve that vision?
My vision for the school is a place where students are staying after their classes, before their classes, to just hang out. There are various centers on campus that are a great opportunity for that, but they're just not known about. And also just more student involvement, students actively seeking out organizations, and the organizations not always seeking students out the way it is now.
And then Director Knauer, what is your vision for the future of the school, and how do you plan to work with other members of SGA to achieve that vision?
I want the school to be more involved, to have more spirit, and what Bittner said is absolutely all true, but also we need to have more compassion for our students, and we need to be able to put them first, because sometimes other initiatives are put before what the student needs, and we need to actually put student needs first instead.
Okay, thank you guys so much. I think we thoroughly asked you guys questions. Audience members, thank you so much for those questions. Keep them coming. There is a stack of note cards and pens on the chair by the door. Live streamers and broadcaster, and those who are listening to the broadcast, again, keep those questions rolling. I will ask of team, is there any questions for Ms. Canawa or Ms. Bittner? Okay, so this concludes the first half of tonight's Meet the Candidates event. We will now take a brief 5-minute break and return with the senators running for office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
is Noah Kindig, and I'm the current sports reporter here at the Wright State Guardian. I am joined to my right by Wright Life editor Emily Mancuso, and she and I will be moderating the senator portion of tonight's event. We have already heard from presidential candidate Stephanie Bittner and vice presidential candidate Alicia Knauer in the first portion, and we will now hear from each of our senator candidates. To introduce them, we will start with Selvin Bacon from the community center candidate. We have Vivian Mellon as a College of Liberal Arts candidate. We have Cade Mason as a College of Engineering and Computer Science candidate. And we have Haley Rainier as a College of Health, Education, and Human Services candidate. Please set our timer to 30 seconds. Each senatorial candidate will have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. Please include your major and your academic year in your response. Senator Bacon, you may begin your introduction.
So my name is Selvin Bacon, and I'm a fine arts major. I'm involved in SGA, SIL. I work as an involvement mentor. I'm a part of the Wright State Men's Soccer Club. I'm also a part of the Orientation Peer Mentor Program. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay. Senator Mason, please begin your introduction.
Hi there, I'm Cade Mason. I'm an electrical engineering major and a freshman here at Wright State. Currently, I am involved in student government as the Center of College of Engineering and Computer Science. I'm the vice president of the College of Engineering and Computer Science DSAB. I'm a member of the club Ultimate Frisbee team. And that's about it.
Okay. Ms. Mellon, please begin your introduction.
Alrighty. Hi, I'm Vivian Mellon. I am a sophomore at Wright State. I am studying political science with a minor in legal studies. I'm involved in a lot of areas around Wright State. I am a RA for our campus housing. I am a member of SGA, a member of Rainbow Alliance, and I have a current student worker job with undergraduate admissions, and I am an admissions ambassador.
And finally, Ms. Rainier, please begin your introduction.
Hi, I'm Haley Rainier. I am in my first year at SOPP, the School of Professional Psychology, getting my doctorate in clinical psychology.
Thank you to all of you for being here today, first and foremost. And we will begin with our senator candidates. Each candidate will have 45 seconds on the clock to answer, and we will begin with pressing issues.
We will begin with Ms. Mellon. Ms. Mellon, what is the most pressing issue for the College of Liberal Arts today?
I believe the most pressing issue for College of Liberal Arts is, once again, student involvement and getting everyone connected around liberal arts, because I am a political science student and I want to be an attorney, but there is a lot when it comes to the College of Liberal Arts, so I really want to focus on getting us all connected and feeling like one family, because we really are one family.
Senator Bacon, a similar question for you. What is the most pressing issue facing commuter students today?
So what I found the biggest issue for commuter students is, again, not being involved. And as part of me working with student involvement leadership, I want to help encourage that there's people that are here to help them, encourage them to get involved and, get more opportunities off of that too.
Senator Mason, what do you think is the most pressing issue facing the College of Engineering and Computer Science today?
Currently, I feel like the most pressing issue is lack of information getting to the students. As we have a bunch of new clubs opening up. I know there's a person that's opening up SHIP, which is the Hispanic Engineers Society, as well as IEEE, which is a club specifically for electrical engineers, as well as we have plenty of great events like the hackathon, which encourage great interdisciplinary collaboration. But I feel like most of the students don't hear about this.
Ms. Rainier, what is the most pressing issue facing the College of Health, Education, and Human Services today?
I feel, seeing as though this position has been open for quite a while, just getting things back on track, making sure people are aware of the resources available to them, and of course just increasing involvement overall.
Ms. Mellon, how would you describe your legislative platform as COLA Senator candidate?
So I would describe my platform as the COLA Senator candidate as really diversity and inclusion as well as involvement, because Wright State is an amazing school. We have D1 athletics, and I kind of really want to get the College of Liberal Arts all connected with each other, because we are spread out through some buildings on campus, and hearing what everyone has to say and implementing them in SGA as much as I can.
Senator Bacon, similar to you, how would you describe your legislative platform as commuter senator candidate?
As the commuter senator, I would like to be the advocate voice for commuters, considering the majority of our population are commuter students. I want to make sure that their voices are heard and represented, and I just want to be there to support them and encourage them that, that we're here to help in any way possible.
Senator Mason, how would you describe your legislative platform as CECS senator candidate?
For my legislative platform, I believe all people of the College of Engineering, we're all tightly packed into Rest Building and become one good community. I just wish more people's issues would be heard towards faculty, including like curriculum issues I know have recently been concerned.
Ms. Rainier, how would you describe your legislative platform for the College of Health, Education, and Human Services?
Yeah, so for CHES, I want to focus again on reinvigorating this position, making sure students have the information resources they need.
Ms. Mellon, you are not currently a part of SGA. How familiar are you with the organization's constitution and bylaws?
So I am not too familiar with the Constitution or bylaws, but I have been reading up on them since I began my journey as the COLAS senator candidate. So I am looking forward to getting to know the Constitution and bylaws more and getting myself very familiar with them.
Senator Bacon, as a current member of SGA, is there anything that you would change about how the Senate currently operates?
At the moment, I've only been operating as a commuter senator for a month and a half, so I'm not too familiar with the stuff that's going on. But as of right now, I really like what's going on, and I just want to further encourage that to continue to flourish.
Senator Mason, the same question for you. As a current member of SGA, is there anything you would change about how the Senate currently operates?
I would agree with the propositions that the previous president and vice president candidates have given, as the Constitution and bylaws, after reading them, have a lot of outdated language that don't really apply to a bunch of the situations that we deal with today, and they do need change.
Ms. Rainier, you are not a part of SGA, so how familiar are you with the organization's constitution and bylaws, and would you change anything about the organization?
Yeah, so I am baseline familiar with all of the policies and procedures, and if getting this position, I would work on updating those procedures and bylaws to fit the needs of the students today.
Ms. Mellon, can you please explain the role of SGA Senate and how you'd advocate for your constituency?
So the role of SGA Senate is to really be a voice for the specific colleges and areas that we have representation for. So really what I want to do and what the Senate's job is to take information from the students at Wright State and implement what they want to see. And our whole job as SGA is to be a voice for the students.
Senator Bacon, the same for you. Can you please explain the role of the SGA Senate in your view and how you would advocate for commuter students?
So I would always imply to always be a part of Commuter Student Association. As the current president for Commuter Student Association, I am going to make sure that all commuters are heard. I'm going to send out surveys to get information of what they are needing from us and bring that up to the Senate and potentially to the Student Government Association as well.
Senator Mason, the same question for you. Can you please explain the role of the SGA Senate and how you'd advocate for your constituency?
I believe the role of the SGA Senate is you take the students from your respective college or organizations such as commuter or residential students, and you should bring them up to the faculty, whether this be for CECS to the dean through DSAB or to the greater university through student government in general.
Ms. Rainier, can you please explain in your view the role of the SGA Senate and how you'd advocate for the College of Health, Education, and Human Services?
Yeah, so as far as the role of the Senate, I really would focus on bridging the gap between the students and the administration, making sure that the students feel like they are being heard and that their opinions are impacting their time here at Wright State.
Ms. Mellon, this is a two-part question. First, how would you work with the Vice President to develop Senate-endorsed resolutions for the administration to follow? How would you resolve Senate conflicts or deadlock in the case of contentious legislation?
So I plan to work with the Vice President by having meetings for professional and personal to try to get anything resolved quickly. And as far as getting things resolved when it comes to like deadlocks, is having conversations and trying to come to a focal point and a mid-ground.
Senator Bacon, the same is for you. How will you work with the Vice President to develop Senate-endorsed resolutions for the administration to follow, and how will you resolve deadlock in the case of contentious legislation?
Yeah, I would like to bounce back what Ms. Mellon said. Communication to me is key to everything. Making sure that our communications is up to date, making sure that we all agree on the specific thing, making sure that we're all in communication, especially the Senate, considering resolutions, new policies, and stuff like that, and making sure that our Vice President knows that we also have a voice and we would like to demonstrate that.
Senator Mason, the same question for you. First, how would you work with the Vice President to develop Senate-endorsed resolutions for the administration to follow? How would you resolve Senate conflicts or deadlock in the case of contentious legislation?
For working with the Vice President, I believe there should always be meetings happening between each senator and the Vice President weekly. And for fixing the Senate, have contentious views, the Senate currently has weekly meetings, and I believe that they independently should always have meetings, as they can talk it out with just that group, allowing them to reach a more conscientious decision.
Ms. Rainier, the same for you. How will you work with the Vice President to develop Senate-endorsed resolutions for the administration to follow, and how will you resolve those Senate conflicts or that deadlock in the case of legislation?
Yeah, so me and the VP candidate have already had extensive talks about how we would like to make sure that students are being heard with what they need and what they would like from administration, focusing on keeping communication clear and open so that students feel heard.
Ms. Mellon, this role serves as an advisor and advocate to the dean on the behalf of the COLA student body. What proposals would you make to improve the student experience in the College of Liberal Arts, specifically regarding student engagement? Please be specific.
So one of the things that I would like to do is really promote our athletics that we have. Wright State is a D1 school when it comes to athletics, and just a year ago, Wright State went to March Madness. So I really want to work with the dean to really get liberal arts students, whether they be residential students or commuter students, going to games, getting involved, and kind of really pushing the dates that any sport event is going to happen, whether it be club or the D1 sports that we have, so that we can all be connected and gain that campus spirit that sometimes are lacking.
Senator Bacon, what proposals would you make to improve the commuter student experience, specifically regarding commuter and off-campus services? Please be specific.
So what I would imply is that I would try to get SGA to work with student involvement leadership heavily, because one, student involvement leadership is the place to go for anything organization-wise, and if we could get our commuters to go and talk to the student involvement leadership and involvement mentors, I feel like we could really advocate a change when it comes to involvement retention.
Senator Mason, what proposals would you make to improve its experiential learning opportunities in the College of Engineering and Computer Science? Please be specific.
To encourage more experiential learning, I believe we should have more events such as the hackathon, where it gets people in the college to show off their skills that they have learned in their respective trades, as well as have more career fairs or involvement fairs within just RUS building, and bring in employers to get prospective internships for students.
Ms. Rainier, talking about those experiential learning opportunities in the College of Health, Education, and Human Services, how will you improve those opportunities, specifically in field experience, practicums, internships, and clinical experiences?
So I would focus on first picking up this position, learning about what the students need in terms of training, and where that is at now, and then assess what needs to be done. And also seeing as the careers in this kind of college are very taxing, things like nursing, psychology, and the mental health needs of those students while they are on field placement and internship.
Ms. Mellon, please describe a leadership position you have held in the past. How will it help you in the senator position?
So one of the leadership experiences that I have currently is I am an admissions ambassador for Wright State undergraduate admissions, and how I'm going to use the experience that I gained from being an admissions ambassador to the Senate is I do campus tours almost every day, so I know a lot about campus, and if anybody has like any questions or wants any resources, I will be an advocate for them and tell them anything that they need. So really using my experiences when it comes to getting things processed, when it comes to getting people in the door when it comes to Wright State, but also knowing the campus and knowing the in and outs of campus.
Senator Bacon, the same for you. How will previous leadership positions help you here?
So I've been an orientation peer mentor over the summer, and one of the things that I got from that is my communication skills set are better now. I was able to hone that, and I just want to express my communication, make sure that all ideas are thorough, and making sure that I get the same response from commuter students, especially from Commuter Student Association. I want us to have thorough conversations, communications, and just to spread ideas of how we could help each other learn and grow.
Senator Mason, please describe a leadership position you have held in the past. How will it help you in the senator position?
In high school, I was heavily involved in the overall band and music program, and as such, I was the director of our student pep band, and we would go around with our basketball team. And I believe this helped me as I had to lead around students and improve my communication and speech skills.
The same to you, Ms. Rainier. Please describe a leadership position you've held in the past and tell us how it will help you as a senator.
So being a professional psychology student, that alone requires a lot of leadership skills, being independent and being an advocate. As well, when I was in undergrad, I was the vice president of Psi Chi. I held various positions within my sorority, such as publicity chair, merchandising chair, and community service chair.
Ms. Mellon, what do you hope people take away from this debate about your candidacy?
What I want people to take away is that I am all for the students. I am a student myself, so I kind of really want to be a voice for all students. I am asexual, so I am involved in the Culture and Identity Centers, both in the Women's Center, LGBTQIA+ Center, and Rainbow Alliance. So I want to be a voice for all students, men, women, doesn't matter. And I kind of want to be their person that they go to for whatever that they need through SGA.
Senator Bacon, what do you hope people take away from this debate about your candidacy?
I want people to take away that I'm not just be representing the voice for commuter students, but I also want to be the voice for everybody, all students on campus. I know that commuter students take up the majority of the population, but that doesn't mean that nobody else could be heard. I feel like just the voice in general of the whole student population should be heavily enticed.
Senator Mason, what do you hope people take away from this debate about your candidacy?
I hope people take away that I want to see clubs and organizations help grow and flourish as throughout this coming academic year, and hope to see students get more involved and get information to the students, as I hear some of them don't know about the events that go on, but would like to participate in those.
Ms. Rainier, what do you hope people take away from this debate about your candidacy?
I would say most generally speaking that I'm just here for the students. I am open to and would love to hear feedback from anyone within the college about what they might need or want, and bringing that to the table since there hasn't been someone around to do that.
Alrighty, thank you for those riveting responses. We have quite a few audience questions. Audience members, please keep those flowing. If we have any questions from the live broadcast, the live stream, or our social medias, my team, please let me know. I'm actually going to divide these questions among the 4 panel members, as there are quite a few. So I'm just going to give you guys a stack of note cards, and I will start, and we will go down the line. Some of these questions are for specific candidates. Some of these pertain to all candidates. And when it's an all candidate question, we'll give you guys each 30 seconds to respond. And we'll give you guys 30 seconds to respond in the first place.
Do you want to pass those down?
And then, can I have one of you monitor the timer while we're asking? Sure. Come on up. This is Emily Lewis, digital managing editor for the. Never mind. This is Christina, our social media manager, who will be managing our clock. Okay, so.
Would you like to start, Jamie?
Yeah. Alexis. Emily. Also, note that some of these are front back. So front back. Okay. I will start. Okay. There's 3 questions on this note card. I think this question is for the College of Health Education and Human Services candidate, Ms. Ranier, as it deals with mental health. This person says, involvement is all I am hearing from everyone. That is not the only thing wrong with campus. How do you plan to change other issues such as mental health?
Okay, so as I mentioned, one of my main things would be making sure that students within CHES are having their mental health needs met. I heard a lot of that from our president and vice president candidates. I agree with making those services more available throughout the year, having events, and focusing on the careers and mental health once we are put into field placements.
Cool, thank you. I will skip that question as it is brought up again. So I will put 30 seconds on the clock. This is for each one of you. Senator Bacon, I will start with you. How do we know as the student body, you as SGA representatives will do what is best for us as students? 30 seconds on the clock.
So what would I do for to best represent students? Again, just making sure that their voices are heard. You know, if it comes to whatever necessities they need, making sure that SGA is aware of their necessities and making sure we are able to do any policies or petitions for that.
Thank you. Ms. Mellon, the same question to you. How do we know as a student body, you as SGA representatives will do what is best for us as students?
All right, so my answer is going to be honestly kind of the same. But when it comes to liberal arts students, I want to make myself open for receiving comments about what they think I can do to better the college. And what I suggest people do if they really want something to be implemented is come to SGA meetings so that you can make your voice heard kind of more in person, but also you can reach out to any senator and have your opinions, comments, concerns
Thank you. Your time is up. Mr. Mason, I will move to you. How do we know as the student body, you as Student Government Association representatives will do what is best for us as students?
I think that the student government, you will know that we will represent you as most of our ideas come from having conversations with students, as well as student government representatives must have office hours. I believe these should be made more publicly known. That way it has more avenues for students to be heard.
Thank you. And lastly, Ms. Vania, how do we know as a student body, you as SGA reps will do what is best for us as students?
I think just first and foremost that the student body and the opinions and requests of the student body are my first and foremost concern. I'm not here to help administration in any way. I'm here to bridge the gap. So.
Thank you. Our next question is for Mr. Bacon. Specifically, this person says, you say you like what is going on, but what exactly is that? Everyone says we lack involvement with commuters. What plans do you have to get them involved? And then they put at the bottom of that, actual plans, please be specific. So I'll give you 30 seconds on the clock.
Okay. So one of the things I want to get more of is marketing, obviously, like what the vice president and president were advocating. Not just only social media, but in-person marketing, because that's the most influential type of marketing. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think 94% of marketing is more efficient when it comes to person-to-person marketing.
Thank you. And this question is, I will pose it to anyone on the panel. Anyone can respond to this. And multiple people can respond to this if you want to. Again, 30 seconds on the clock. It seems SGA talks about improving life on campus, but it does not seem SGA is actually improving life on campus, just talks about it. How do you plan to change talk to action? This is kind of the question Selvin already answered, so maybe someone else on the panel has an answer to this question.
I hope to have more engaging events, as I want to encourage more clubs, this specifically for engineering, to collaborate with each other to form more cool events for people to go to, as well as I believe that we should have like bulletin boards in more popular areas, as all the ones I see that are for clubs to put up are in like pretty much off spots. Like I know the only one I know of is under medical sciences building.
Thank you. Alrighty, I will now move to Noah Kindig for the next set of questions.
This question, I believe, is for all of you. It says, do you think the senators should be required to sit on their respective college's Dean Student Advisory Board? If so, how would you incorporate that into your senator position? We'll start with Ms. Rainier and move to the left.
That is something I would definitely consider. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think keeping open communication at very different levels is the goal. So making sure that the colleges are represented with the dean, and then bring that knowledge down to the Senate to share with the other schools.
I believe a senator being part of the DSAB is integral to the position, as you should be taking these students' perspectives, and this gives you more of an open channel to communicate directly with the higher up staff, as well as dean of the colleges or organizations.
Okay, alrighty. So I do think that it should be required personally, just so that we can take what students are wanting within our specific colleges and comparing it to what the administration wants. And if the administration wants to implement anything that is not for the students' benefit, we can kind of speak up and be a voice for the students so that we can make sure our whole job is for the students.
Yeah, I would like to add on to what the senator said. Yeah, I feel like we should be required. Make sure that our voices are heard, because again, we're going to be representing the students, and we want those student voices to be heard, and allowing the administration to also know that we have specific needs, and we want those needs to be advocated as well.
This next question is for all of you as well. We'll start with Mr. Bacon and move to the right this time. It says, you all touch on involvement in your policy plans, but how do you plan on improving academics?
Personally, I believe that when it comes to academics, we should really up our tutoring services, really promote those. Knowing that a lot of people struggle with a lot of their classes, we should really advocate those. We have tutoring services, we have people that are willing to help out other people, even professors, encourage them to attend their open office hours, and yeah.
All right, for me, so what I would like to implement is like study tables that we have currently within our RAAs on campus. Also having study tables when it comes like in the actual buildings for our commuter students, and also making them feel like safe enough to say, hey, I'm not doing too good in this class. Can I get some help from myself or anybody that you think would be a good help? And really making them feel comfortable to talk about their academics and get them in touch with resources.
I would like to reiterate what Mr. Bocon said. We should advertise more of our tutoring services, as we have the Math Learning Center, which is a great resource, study coaches, as well as you get free tutoring for attending Wright State of an hour a week, and that should be used more.
As far as academics, I would like to look at each program within the College of Health, CHES, and see what each program is looking for and where they feel that academics are lacking, so that I can look at the whole college in itself and see where improvements can be made, primarily based off of what students are specifically saying that they look for.
Moving on to some very serious topics. Mr. Bacon, how will you improve Commuter Student Association's Taco Tuesday?
We actually got this question twice, so this is.
We got this twice? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, obviously making it a fun experience for everybody and not just for commuters, but as of recently, like, we try to encourage everybody to join, not just commuters. One of the things that I would probably implement is try to get Commuter Student Association to table these events, because again, like I said, marketing when it comes to word of mouth is more effective than it is when it comes to social media.
Thank you. Your time is up.
And then for all of you, to give Mr. Bacon a break, we'll start with Ms. Rainier. If you were given $1,000 to improve student life on campus, how would you spend it?
Ooh, that's a good question. Honestly, $1,000 to help the whole student body. Honestly, I would have to think about that and have some feedback coming into it, because I don't know what would be most helpful for that many people. But anything to promote, I think involvement would be really nice.
I believe I would use it towards trying to push the school to increase more involvement from our academic advisors, as most of the complaints I hear from the student body involve some sort of academic advising, and there's been a lot of issues in that department recently.
So what I would like to do is plan like more events, or maybe a event where we go see a movie or have a movie on campus, and kind of work with student involvement and leadership, and tell them what clubs, organizations, and offices that we have them to get involved in, because liberal arts is such a big college, so we can get people more involved in together.
So what would I do with $1,000? So honestly, I think I'd get an event with campus police. I feel like, going off of what the vice president and president candidates say, self-defense is something that we should really acknowledge, considering that, a lot of classes are very late at night and some people feel unsafe walking alone to their cars. So something to amplify is just making sure that the campus police is being heard as well.
Okay. I will pass it over to Right Life editor Emily Mancuso.
This question is for Senator Bacon and Senator Mason. Senator Bacon, I will start with you. What have you learned as current senator, and how will you mentor new senators?
So what I have learned is that, everybody has a voice. It's not just one person dictating everything. Everybody has their own perspectives, and we should all respect everybody's perspectives. And I would encourage, next senators to come to, advocate their voices.
From SGA, I've learned that open discussion is one of the best way to hear everyone's perspectives, and that everyone should speak out more and make sure that their opinion is heard.
This question is for all candidates. Ms. Rainier, we will start with you and go down. SGA has been notably disconnected from the student body for years. This year was the worst it's been for years. How will you fix that?
Yeah, so speaking to past involvement, I obviously can't say much because I was not a part of SGA, but coming forward, I'd like to be a fresh face for people to contact, a new brain of ideas, and we can kind of only go up from here.
Again, I would like to say that office hours are a very important thing that student government members hold, and not many people know about them. I would just like to reach out word more about that. That way students know that these services are available, that they can talk to their student government members.
So I would like to make SGA more included with the students by having open dialogue, whether that be through email or in person, whether it be group dialogue or individual dialogue. I really want to hear what students have to say and what they want us to do, so that they feel like we are for them and just for the students.
May you repeat the question?
Yes. SGA has been notably disconnected from the student body for years. This year was the worst it's been for years. How will you fix that?
Okay, so honestly, bouncing back what the president, vice president candidates mentioned is that, changing the policy, making sure that's more student run, more student based, and making sure that their needs are being fulfilled and putting those needs before the administration needs.
This question is for all candidates. What are your solutions for improving communication with non-involved students? We'll start with Senator Bacon.
Again, tabling. I think, making your voices heard, that's always been a strategy that us at the Student Involvement Leadership Office have been doing, and it's been effective, and people really been partaking of what we have to say, and just making sure that we're out there advocating what Student Government Association is saying. I feel like we could reach many students.
So one thing that I would like to do is talk with people one-on-one in person if they are not involved, because I want them to really, for liberal arts students, feel like I care about what they have to say and what they would like. So talking to them in person, over the phone, if they are a commuter, meeting up with them on campus if they live on campus, or if they want to meet around the city of Fairborn, kind of on a personal note, and getting to know what they have to say.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. What are your solutions for improving communication with non-involved students?
Firstly, I think that the websites that Wright State uses, such as Engage or other services, or the Core Cap, need to be more pushed or overhauled as students. It pushes a lot of information at students, and I believe not many people take use of that as they should, as well as I believe bulletin boards should be placed for groups to use more freely in popular places such as Student Union and the Hangar.
I would take a very holistic approach, using a lot of different modalities to try to get involvement. So things like our vice president and president candidates said, boosting social media, but also using our resources already in place, such as like the Wings portal. And last, I would also say having a presence on campus, going out, talking to people, and making sure they know who we are and that we are here to help.
Okay, Ms. Mellon, there are 2 questions directed towards you. You'll have 30 seconds for each. The first is athletics/involvement really the most pressing issue for COLA?
Yes, so honestly, I believe so. I'm only a sophomore, so I've only been in COLA for 2 years, but I have observed a lot of things, and I am myself involved on campus. That is what personally I believe, but if people do not believe that is the most pressing issue, that is what I am here for, and I'm open to hearing anything that students have to say.
Then the second question is, how can we improve faculty-student relationships?
So that brings us back to the question that was posed before on if I believe the senator for the colleges should be on their advisory boards with the dean. If we are on those boards, we can communicate with the administration directly and improve the student in administration and faculty relations and open communication.
Thank you. And so then all of the rest of the questions are for all of the senators, or all of the candidates. So we'll start with Ms. Rainier. If you could turn into any animal, what would it be, and how do the characteristics of this animal relate to the position you are running for?
Well,
Okay.
I didn't even have to think about that. This is the bad part. I know this is technically not an animal, but I would be a dinosaur. 1, because they're really cool, and 2, because I can be loud and and vocal, and that definitely talks to my leadership skills, that I'm not afraid to speak up.
I think the animal I would be is a penguin, as it's really funny when they slide, as well as I feel like the College of Engineering, since we're all in one building together, I feel like we're a tight-knit group, as penguins are, as they like keep in like big herds.
So it's gonna be kind of weird, but if I could be an animal, I would choose to be a whale, because I like water. But whales are notoriously huge and loud, and that is kind of candidate that I want to be. I want to be a big voice for the College of Liberal Arts, and I want to be a big voice, basically.
Okay, I'll be a fire ant. The reason why I want to be a fire ant is because fire ants are strong. So I want to be a strong leader, not only because not just for community students, but like there's a lot of students here at Wright State, and trying to get to know each and every one of them is gonna be hard. But like as a fire ant, anything's possible. Like they're tiny, but they get the stuff done.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is, what event do you think promotes student involvement the most, and how would you improve said event? We'll start with Senator Bacon.
Okay, so like involvement fairs, where we get organizations to come out and promote their organizations. I think those are very effective. We actually had one in January, and we got positive results. So just implementing that. Also, career fairs, advocating that students need internships and helping them obtain those internships too.
So I believe that the biggest event for this question is with UAB, with April Craze and Fall Fest. We have so many tables that come out and so many resources that are available for students. How I would better this, I think April Craze and Fall Fest are really good as they are, but kind of stressing resources that we have on campus already, like tutoring services, counseling and wellness, and getting people the best resources that we can on Wright State as possible.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What event do you think promotes student involvement the most, and how would you improve said event?
I believe events such as, like, I've talked about the hackathon before, or BGSU does a similar event to Shark Tank called the Hatch. I believe we should encourage more of these events where students get in a group and actually use their skills that they've learned in class and make something, and encourage interdisciplinary collaboration.
I'll kind of echo the first answer of the involvement fair. In my experience in undergrad, that was really the main focal point of trying to get people started and up and running at the beginning of the semester, but I also think it's important to follow up on that later in the semester for people who may have missed ways to get involved and things that they might be interested in when it was like the first couple weeks.
And then I think this is the final question on the note cards, or you got more?
The note cards that we asked for candidate Bettner and
Love.
Kanawa,
Cute.
we're
Okay.
gonna wait circle.
So this is the last one I have. But this is also to all senator candidates. We'll start with Ms. Rainier for this. How can we have confidence in you to keep the president/vice president and executive branch in check and make the best choices for WSU long term?
Like I said, I am a very vocal person, and I am willing to speak up when I don't think things are going the correct way or things are not being handled correctly. So while I would respect the people who are above me and who have experience, I'm not afraid to challenge them if students feel like something isn't going their way.
I feel like as the Senate, is our job to make sure if there's a dissenting opinion from the ideas that are being presented, it is our job to shut down the idea if we believe it is not a good fit for the Wright State community as a whole, which will cause us to keep the e-board more in control.
So one thing that has been stressed the entire evening, and I will reiterate now, is communication. I believe we can communicate with the president, vice president, and the executive branch if any students in our respective areas, whether it be colleges or organizations, and kind of letting their voices be heard and getting anything implemented, anything in check, telling the president or vice president, no, my representatives don't want that, and kind of speaking up and being a voice.
Time's up.
So I'm very vocal. So if there's something that I don't think that it doesn't agree with the students, I'll make sure that, you know, the vice president, president, the whole Senate knows about it. Make sure that we could discuss about it, and make sure that we could get it revised and make it more clear. Like I said, I'm not afraid to get vocal.
Okay. We have a couple more questions. So, okay. I'm gonna ask the first two, and then Noah will ask the last two. And if there are any more questions, there's still time to bring those up, or if we have anything on social media, please do so while we're asking these questions. Okay. So again, this is going back to the note cards that we asked candidate Betna and candidate Kanawa. Sorry, I blanked on your name there. This is for the entire panel. What inspired you to run for student government? I'll actually start in the middle with Miss Mellon. 30 seconds on the clock.
So I've been interested in government and politics my whole life. That's why I'm a political science major, and I want to be an attorney. So when I heard that we were doing petitioning, candidacy, and elections for next year, I was really excited. This was something I was planning on doing for this entire year. It's kind of a big part of my personality, so that is what inspired me.
Okay, and then Senator Bacon.
So what inspired me is that, you know, seeing that commuter students don't really have a huge voice, considering they're a huge population. It inspired me because I wanted to be there to represent them, making sure their ideas are being out there, making sure the administrations could hear their voice too. And yeah, you know, the commuter students have really helped me.
Awesome. Senator Mason.
What inspired me is that I'm a Wright State student, and this is going to be my community for the next few years, and I just want to make this place a better place however I can while I'm here.
Awesome.
My main inspiration was making sure that this kind of section of campus that hasn't had their needs met for a little while and hasn't had someone to represent them, that we actually have a voice now. And as a psychologist trainee, I really just value advocacy and mediation. So those are two skills that I can bring to the table to make sure that student needs are heard and disseminated to the higher ups.
Awesome. Okay, so second question, I'm gonna kind of rephrase it a bit. So this is the vision question. What is your vision for the future of the school, and how do you plan to work with other members of SGA to achieve that vision? So think like 5 years from now, you graduated, you're on a looking back. We'll start with you.
Okay, so 5 years from now, I want to see a variety of different student leaders. I feel like it's been a hassle trying to get, you know, new and upcoming students to become student leaders, and I feel like the whole reason why is because they're afraid, and I want them to know that we are here to help them, and you know, encourage that Wright State is full of great leaders.
So 5 years from now, I want to see Wright State more diverse and inclusive and involved. Upping representation for minority groups in organizations like SGA and getting more people in those leadership positions so that we can represent the entirety of the Wright State population, and having Wright State as one whole big involved spirit community.
5 years from now, I hope to see that students are more connected with the administration as well as like organizations, and that everyone, I've heard many times of students being like, we have that here, or along those lines, and I would just hope that there's more clear lines of communications from organizations to the students.
Looking 5 years from now, I think I would look at three things mainly. The first would be open communication and making sure that students have a way that they feel comfortable to bring issues up, and also the communication within their program with professors and students. The other thing I would look for is diversity. That's something we value in the SOPP, but I want to extend that to the larger campus. And the last thing would be a focus on mental health and making sure students have those resources, because here and at other colleges across the country,
Your
mental
time
health.
is up. Thank you. We will now move to Noah for the final 2 questions. Thank you.
Firstly, what steps will you take to promote transparency and accountability within student government? We'll start with Senator Bacon.
Again, communication. Making sure that the students could come in and talk to us during open discussions. We could set up something during meetings where we could have open discussions for the public, so they could also advocate their voice. So us as an administration, with SGA, we could take note of that and, could help them accomplish something off of that.
So my answer to this question is going to be communication again, but in kind of a different way. Not the senators waiting for someone from our respective areas to come up to us with their concerns, us going to them and saying, hey, is there anything that SGA has implemented right now or is going to possibly implement that you do not agree with, anything that we can do better for you, making ourselves proactive in approaching them.
I believe we would do this by having students more clearly communicate who represents them on student government, as well as maybe having tabling events in the union hangar or respective college areas, and letting the people know they're at a table, they can come up there, and that's their leader that will represent them.
So I'll also echo the communication aspect. I would love that if people saw me on campus, they would be able to come up and have a chat about some of their concerns, but I know that's not the best way for everybody to just come up and tell me, what their concerns are. So I would also like to have other avenues to either reach out personally or anonymously, even if they don't feel like their concerns are something that they want to talk to with a name.
Finally, what experience or skills do you bring to the table that make you uniquely qualified for this position in student government?
I say, my mindset, my dedication, patience, and how I could implement hard work into anything. I feel like I could implement those in SGA to further, advocate student discussion, student voices, and yeah.
So for me, I would say my leadership experience and my work ethic. I was president of a few clubs in my school, in my high school, and I am an involved student when it comes to Wright State as well, and I have a job on campus. I have an insane work ethic, and I will talk your ear off all day, so I feel comfortable approaching students if they need anything that they want to be seen implemented in SGA.
I believe I'm qualified as I have had leadership experience from here as well as in high school. I was involved in a couple of offices, and I'm a stubborn person to where once I start working on something or I believe something is right, I kind of have a hard time letting it go.
So I bring to the table, I think, definitely leadership experience. As I mentioned, in undergrad, I had several different positions. I also have, as a graduate student, have the kind of real world experience of handling situations, which I think is unique, and also just coming in as a blank slate that's open to anyone's ideas.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those responses. This is the final call for questions. Final call. Okay, awesome. And if you walk out of this room today with a question for any of the people we heard from or any of the candidates running, you can feel free to DM the Guardian socials. That is WSU Guardian on all platforms. Email me, Guardian1, Guardian 1 at Wright.edu, or stop by our office and we will make sure those candidates get that. I want to thank all of our candidates for coming out tonight and answering those questions. And then I would love to thank all my panel members and WWSU 106.9 and SGA SEC for making this event possible and for participating in this event tonight. That is all. Thank you and have a great night.